Moby Dick is a novel by American writer Herman Melville, first published in 1851. It tells the story of Ishmael, a sailor who joins the crew of the whaling ship Pequod, captained by the infamous Ahab, who is obsessed with hunting down the white whale, Moby Dick, who had previously bitten off his leg. The novel begins with Ishmael arriving in New Bedford, Massachusetts, where he decides to go on a whaling expedition. He shares a room at the Spouter Inn with a harpooner named Pequod, a tattooed Polynesian harpooner who becomes his close friend and shipmate. Together they set out to find work on a whaling ship, eventually joining the Pequod. As the ship sets sail, Ahab reveals his obsession with finding and killing Moby Dick, and makes a vow to do so, even if it means sacrificing the lives of his crew. The Pequod sails around the world, encountering various other ships and whales, but Ahab remains focused on his quest for revenge. Along the way, the novel provides vivid descriptions of the whaling industry, including the process of hunting, killing, and processing whales for their oil, which was a valuable commodity at the time. Melville also explores themes of race, religion, and humanity's relationship with nature. The crew of the Pequod is made up of a diverse group of men, including sailors from different countries and ethnicities, as well as a number of harpooners, each with their own unique personality and backstory. The most memorable of these characters is Pequod, who is portrayed as a wise and spiritual figure despite his intimidating appearance. As the Pequod gets closer to Moby Dick, tensions among the crew begin to mount. Ahab becomes increasingly erratic and unhinged, and his obsession with the white whale begins to take a toll on his mental health. The crew becomes increasingly disillusioned with Ahab's leadership, and several members try to mutiny, but Ahab is able to quell the rebellion. Finally, the Pequod comes face to face with Moby Dick, and the ensuing battle is epic and bloody. Ahab is determined to kill the whale, even as his own ship is destroyed and most of his crew is killed. In the end, Ahab is dragged down into the depths of the ocean by the dying whale, and the only survivor is Ishmael, who is rescued by another ship. Moby Dick is a complex and challenging novel that defies easy categorization. It is a work of adventure, a treatise on the whaling industry, and a meditation on the nature of man and his relationship to the natural world. Melville's prose is dense and challenging, and the novel is filled with literary and philosophical references that require careful attention and analysis. At its heart, Moby Dick is a story about obsession and the destructive power of revenge. Ahab's single-minded pursuit of Moby Dick ultimately leads to the destruction of his ship and the death of almost all of his crew. Melville suggests that the desire for revenge can be all-consuming and can lead to a kind of madness that ultimately destroys the self. The novel is also notable for its exploration of themes of race and imperialism. The character of Pequod, as well as other non-white members of the crew, are portrayed with sympathy and understanding, challenging the racial prejudices of the time. Melville also uses the novel to criticize the exploitative practices of the whaling industry, which relied on the exploitation of both human and natural resources. In conclusion, Moby Dick is a challenging and rewarding novel that rewards careful attention and analysis.